Welcome to the Rock and Roll Gutter Podcast. Music from the wrong side of the tracks. This is a show that drags you through the gritty alleys of sleaze rock, gutter glam, and all forms of dirty rock and roll. And now, here are your hosts, Andy and Gary.
All right, all you beautiful people out there, welcome back to the Rock and Roll Gutter Podcast. My name is Gary. I'm one of the hosts, and with me, as always, is the creator and co-host, Andy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Well, Andy, I guess today we'll be diving headfirst into the chaotic but always electrifying world of the band Buckcherry.
Yay!
This band that swaggered onto the scene in the late 90s like they just crawled out of a Sunset Strip time machine, they completely ignored the musical trends of the day. These cats crawled out of Anaheim, California back in 1995 amidst the dying embers of the grunge and nu metal. Andy, explain nu metal to me.
I wish I could, but it's just a bunch of crap.
Nu metal, the N and the U with the hyphen.
Right.
Didn't the U have the umlauts like Motley Crue?
It did. They borrowed that from Motley Crue, but not much else. It was known for bands like Korn and even Limp Bizkit. Is that metal? I don't know what the fuck
metal,
that is.
What was wrong with the old metal, Andy?
It got a little rusty. Needed some updating, apparently.
Well, apparently these dying embers of grunge and nu metal and rap metal, starting to creep out of a hot topic somewhere. And while everybody else was getting introspective or donning their baggy pants, Josh Todd and Keith Nelson were like, nah, man, we're bringing back the sleaze. We're going to bring back some swagger, a little bit of swagger in rock and roll. We're just going to bring back just rock and roll. And God bless their dirty little hearts, that's exactly what they did.
So how does a band like Buckcherry even happen back then? I mean, it started out in the most rock and roll way possible through a shared tattoo artist.
Tattoos, Andy. Remember the Sunset Strip?
Oh, I do.
You remember some of the clubs you had to have a 3-tat minimum to get in the cover charge of the door? 3 tats.
Is that true?
Who started that tat thing? I remember who went out on a limb? Was it Paul Stanley or was it Steven Tyler that had that little tiny postage stamp rose on their shoulder?
Yeah, I think both of them had that little teeny tiny, real commitment to the ink there.
And then, I don't know, somewhere along the way, Motley Crue entered the tattoo picture.
And then it was game on for everybody.
Yeah, but Josh Todd said, yeah, I laugh at your tattoos, little Motley Crue boys.
Yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
But, this is how rock legends are formed, over sleeves of ink, not through the classified ads. I mean, who the hell does that anymore?
Yeah.
Do classified ads even exist?
They used to. Not anymore.
So I guess tattoo artist Kevin Quinn thought that singer Josh Todd, who happens to be a dude that just fucking oozes charisma, thought he should meet up with guitarist Keith Nelson. The two hit it off right away, so they start jamming and making some demos. Pretty soon they hook up with bassist Jonathan J.B. Brightman and drummer Devin Glenn. Later on, they would add rhythm guitar player Yogi Lonick, not to be confused with Yogi Berra.
Hey, that boo-boo.
And then, I guess what was the classic or original lineup of the band was formed.
Ah, the original lineup.
They originally called themselves Sparrow, and Sparrow began performing around Hollywood and quickly built up a following due to their old school rock and roll vibes. Their very first gig was a very wild show at Hollywood's Dragonfly Club in 1995. And from there, they just quickly built up a reputation for their raw, energetic shows and their hell-raising antics.
Sparrow and hell-raising antics?
Right. Sparrow sounds like a folk band that plays at a farmer's market. I mean, can you imagine Sparrow singing Crazy Bitch? Nah. It turns out there was a record label, a Christian record label called Sparrow, and they sent a cease and desist, and after that, the band ends up changing their name to Buckcherry.
Didn't we dig just a little bit into the Christian record label Sparrow, Andy, just for a minute?
Yeah, and if you know anything about Christian music, which Gary and I are experts on.
Devoid.
Yeah, they had quite the roster in their time. And bands that, I guess if you listen to Christian rock or Christian music, they had some pretty heavy hitters in there.
So, yeah, I don't know. We looked at it briefly, and it looked like they had at least 40 different artists on the label. So they send a cease and desist, and Sparrow has to change their name. And where did they go again, Andy?
So they come up with Buckcherry.
Now, how knows that?
So there's two stories as to where the name actually comes from. One version is that it's a play on the name of, legendary classic rocker Chuck Berry. And while that's a good story, decent story, I guess, the band themselves admit it actually came from the name of a drag queen that they knew back in the day named Buckcherry.
Hey, Buckcherry.
So see, it's instantly more rock and roll. You can't get much grittier than naming your band after a drag queen, can you?
I don't know. Ask the Toilet Boys and Miss Guy, Andy.
There you go.
Previous episodes. Stay tuned.
But either way, it had attitude, and that's all that mattered.
I guess so. One continuous word, the two, Buckcherry, not split.
And I guess in today's market, naming yourself after a drag queen is probably like a badge of honor. But back in 99, probably didn't get much attention.
Yeah, it's a good story, though.
Yeah, but DreamWorks Records was a new label on the scene.
You know who formed DreamWorks?
I do not.
It was Jeffrey Katzenberg, who kind of had an iron fist on the Disney franchise once upon a time.
Yeah.
David Geffen, who had his own record label and signed a lot of people. I think was Nirvana on the DGC label.
I believe Nirvana, Guns N' Roses.
And Steven Spielberg, who's responsible for this little alien and a little shark and a boatload of other things. But yeah, that's DreamWorks Records, Katzenberg, Geffen, and Spielberg.
Yeah, that's a lot of big names, so they must have had some pretty high expectations.
So what did they do with Buckcherry?
So they liked what they heard, and they end up signing them to a contract. And the band hits the studio, and in 1999, they dropped their self-titled debut album.
1999 seems so long ago, doesn't it, kids?
Yeah, it was. And this debut was produced by the legendary producer Terry Dale. And this is a guy who's known for working with bands like Soundgarden, Pantera, the Deftones. So some pretty heavy bands there. And this album was a sonic sucker punch.
A breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it actually went gold. And did you know this was DreamWorks' first gold album?
Yeah, Josh Todd mentioned that in a podcast, that this was DreamWorks' first gold record, was their debut album.
Can you imagine the surprise over the brass over there? They probably were expecting some like little teeny bopper singer girl to hit the big time, but instead they hit the gold record out of Buckcherry.
These greasy rock and rollers, they delivered the goods. Their song Lit Up became an instant anthem for anyone who's ever been, lit up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Discretion. The album also featured the songs For the Movies, Dead Again, and Check Your Head. Now, everybody's going to expect to hear Lit Up here, and we're not going to club you over the head with it. We'll play about 2 minutes of it. But this is the first song that America and everybody else was introduced to the band Buckcherry. And in a sea of grunge, rap metal, new metal, 99, this was a song that actually made me sit up straight in my chair when I first heard it and said, who the fuck are these guys, you know?
Yeah, I was pretty excited the first time I saw this video.
Just that opening riff is just, like straight to the brain. Anyways, at the time I was working for a ticket broker, and back in the day they had record stores, and look it up, kids, record stores, before you got all your music by pressing a button and having it float magically through the air to you, you'd have to actually go into a physical brick and mortar store, look for the item that you wanted and purchase it. Then these record stores would also sell concert tickets for upcoming concerts. Same thing, Ticketmaster didn't necessarily have a stranglehold on everything back in the day. So the ticket broker company I worked for would send us to these record stores and at various places around town to score these tickets for concerts. And while in one, at the register, there was a stack of Buckcherry bumper stickers for your car, and they were from the first album. And that first album cover, if any of you guys want to look it up or know it by heart, features great artwork by a guy by the name of Mike Dowd. And it was a tasteful gatefold. If you had the album, you can open it up like the old school gatefold and open it up. And it was very tastefully done, of a nude woman covered in psychedelic paint. It was very artful, very arty. So I grabbed one of these bumper stickers and I put it on the back of my car, which at the time was a 1969 Buick Wildcat. And that bumper sticker stayed on the back of that car easily for a decade. Unbelievably, everywhere that I went. I'm going to try to dig up a couple of pictures of that, and along with the other stuff that I post on the webpage, put a picture of that up there. Yeah, so we're going to play a little bit of that for you. This is the song Lit Up by Buckcherry. You might ask yourself, well, how the hell did Lit Up get on mainstream rock radio?
How the hell did that happen?
I mean, credit where credit's due. It's super catchy, but seriously, they just straight up belted out, I love the cocaine, I love the cocaine, and the world just rocked out. It was kind of a glorious middle finger to subtlety, but it's not the first song that glorified, or not necessarily glorified, but mentioned drugs in a big way. What a couple of other songs, Andy, that are prominent.
The song Heroin's pretty well known.
Well, hey, wait, we had J.J. Cale wrote the song Cocaine, titled the song Cocaine. Eric Clapton made the song a hit, Cocaine, and that was way back in the 70s.
Yeah, that was very old school.
And like you say, don't even bring up Lou Reed and the song Heroin or whatever. But anyways, I digress. That song Lit Up, it perfectly summed up the band's vibe. Very brash, very in your face, and having themselves way too much fun. And ironically, Josh Todd had been sober for a few years when he wrote that little tribute to cocaine. So there's that.
I heard that, or from him on an interview, that he said he would get shit from people about it. Like, you're sober. How can you do that song?
Well, I don't know. We'll touch on that a little bit later as well. But anyways, the band drops that album in 99 and they hit the road immediately. And they wound up touring with Lenny Kravitz, and they even played that infamous Woodstock concert. Remember that? Mudfest or whatever?
The one everybody was having the mud fights at.
I got lucky, and that first album was released on April 6th, 1999. I saw them on May 24th, 1999, roughly 48 days later after the album dropped. And they played that dingy little club, the Mason Jar, that Andy and I frequently talk about in previous episodes or whatever. So I actually saw them 48 days after their album dropped on the beginning of their first nationwide tour. And I was in the club and actually bought the tour short, which I can still fit into and am wearing now. That's a long-running joke for people who get it, and I'll post a picture of it in the swag portion of our Facebook page.
It still looks brand new. I mean, it's super dark. The screen print looks great. It looks like it's barely been worn.
You know how there's a big resurgence of, if you were lucky enough to have a original band shirt and take really good care of it, like some of us did, and then if you got too large to wear it but couldn't part with it, you would just stash it in the deepest recesses of your closet or whatever, but you just didn't want to get rid of it because it had some inherent value to you,
Right.
So, I don't know. Lucky, I guess. Lucky in a couple of different respects, but lucky enough to buy one and lucky enough to hang on to it for 26 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either that or it's part of my OCD tendencies. But anyways.
All of the above.
So anyways, after the high of that debut album and their first tour, well, the band recorded and released their second album, and that album was titled Time Bomb, and that was released in 2001. Now, here's the thing. This album was a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, maybe even a little more profanity-laced, if you can say that.
Get the fuck out of here.
If you can believe it. I don't know. Look, it was not a bad album.
No.
I like the album. It had that Buckcherry grit, Andy. You have to work grit in somewhere. This is where we're going to work it in right here. It had that Buckcherry grit. But critics were less enthused. The music website AllMusic even said, and I quote, "For a second record, it's surprising how jaded and nihilistic they are already." What the fuck is the word nihilistic, Andy?
I think it means happy.
Nihilistic? How jaded and happy?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. More of a...
I don't know. Ouch.
Yeah. More of a darker outlook on life for sure.
I don't know. Maybe at that time period, maybe they really were just really committed to that rock and roll lifestyle, Mm-hmm. But on the bright side, they opened for AC/DC, which you can't really get, bigger than that. That's kind of like a badge of honor for any rock band to be able to open up for some of those heroes of yours. But behind the scenes, the wheels, they're coming off the wagon. So before we depart from this album, we're going to play a little bit of the song Time Bomb. This song is a good song. It's got a great chorus. So here we go, kids. This is Time Bomb from Buckcherry.
The man minute there's complication. The second I'm in the action, another bona fide bad creation. When it goes down, they come around. Money, greed, the faces. When it falls down, they won't be found. The spotlight queen chasing. It's coming for you. It's coming for me. Life ain't nothing but bitches and money. Nothing to lose, nothing for free. Can't stop now, I got bitches and money. It's a time bomb, it's a time bomb. The moment I hit the bedroom, that's the moment I'm activated. The token I spin the floor, yeah. The less I want to know, yeah. When it goes down, they come around. Money, greed, the faces. When it falls down, they won't be found. The spotlight queen chasing. It's coming for you. It's coming for me. Life ain't nothing but bitches and money. Nothing to lose, nothing for free. Can't stop now, I got bitches and money. It's a time bomb, it's a time bomb, yeah.
In true rock and roll form, this is where things go sideways. Between August 2001 through January of 2002, Buckcherry is basically a revolving door of musicians. I mean, Brightman, Lonick, Gert Glenn, all gone. Replaced by Dave Markaski.
I say,
Josh Flieger.
oh, I love what he does.
Yeah, that's a rock and roll name.
Yeah.
And Matt Lawrence. I mean, imagine trying to keep track of that on the tour bus after having a few too many.
Hey, drummer.
You over there.
Yeah.
Josh Todd and Keith Nelson, they're real stubborn bastards, and they're still trying to keep it together, trying to make things work out, and trying to write a third album.
The Nucleus.
Yeah, but back in July of 2002, they end up pulling the plug. Buckcherry's put on hiatus. They're just dead in the water. Most bands, that's the end of the story. They're finished. The end credits roll. But this isn't most bands, is it?
I wouldn't say so. You're right, though. Back in the day, remember, record companies, if you can even remember record companies existing back in the day, they would allow an artist to develop. They'd give you like a 3-album deal,
Yeah.
And if the first album didn't succeed, well, you got 2 more swings. It's like baseball, 3 swings and you're out. Shit, that all disappeared. And then it became, if you didn't press your own stuff and have a large following and could it not at least move 50,000 units on your own, we're not interested. And even if they are, we're going to give you a top-heavy contract, and it's one and done. If you don't perform, you're down the road.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game than it was when we were coming up.
So after that second album, Time Bomb, Buckcherry kind of ceases to be, Andy? Is that it?
Yeah, they kind of hit the end of the road there. But let's listen to another song off of Time Bomb. This is a great song. It's a little bit of a departure for the band, not the typical hard driving song. This is the song called Place in the Sun.
I love this song because not only is it a departure, but this is as close to power pop as Buckcherry gets. The more you listen to the song, the more it grows on me. I love it for that fact. So here we are. Place in the Sun, Buckcherry.
Sacred heart is burning, there's a princess in my
In July 2002, Josh Todd quits the group to pursue a solo career.
I'm leaving, lads.
Yeah, because every rock star who leaves a successful band to go solo always hits it big, right?
I don't need you, lads.
Right. So Todd's solo album is titled You Made Me, and no, we didn't, but didn't exactly make him a household name. And it turns out, sometimes you need your partners in crime to make the magic happen, and apparently the solo magic wasn't happening.
At least then.
But for a few years, Buckcherry was just a memory. Nobody really, they were gone. That was it. During this hiatus, if you want to call it that, Josh Todd finds himself in a rather unusual situation. He was auditioning for the band that would ultimately become Velvet Revolver. The band that featured part of Guns N' Roses, Slash, Duff McKagan, Matt Sorum.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's a pretty good portion of that band.
It's like half of Guns N' Roses, isn't it?
Right. 2/3 technically with that drummer.
Well, there's that drummer math, Andy. You can't hold me to...
But can you imagine Josh Todd singing with those guys?
He had the voice. He would have done, I think, equal to what Scott Weiland did.
Yeah, I think so. But he reportedly cut 10 songs, with the band. And then one day, Slash just walks in and shit cans the whole thing because Slash apparently wasn't thrilled with Todd's voice on the playback. And, Slash is lost, our gain, because Scott Weiland gets the gig. But
how'd that turn out, Andy?
Started out good. First album did very well, and then everything went downhill.
I think I'm going to sing most of my shit through a megaphone. How's that working out for you, Scott?
Yeah, not very well. But guitarist from Buckcherry, Keith Nelson, he got a songwriting credit because I guess they were considering him for one of the guitar players as well. But he was part of that Dirty Little Thing song.
Okay.
So even on hiatus, Buckcherry's fingerprints are all over the rock scene. I mean, they're like cockroaches of rock and roll, always there, always surviving.
Yeah, staying alive. I guess that's keeping your, but like any good vice, you just can't keep a good rock band down if you're a good rock band. So in 2005, Todd and Nelson, the original dynamic duo, they put aside their differences, they shake hands, and decided, hey, let's bring Buckcherry back. So this time around, they brought in some fresh blood with Stevie D on guitar, Jimmy Ashurst on bass, and Xavier Muriel on drums. And what they created next, well, it wasn't just a comeback, peeps. It was a goddamn rock and roll explosion.
Boom.
In 2006, they released and unleashed the album titled 15 on us all. And now, I don't know, if you're over the age of say 25, you probably know this album 15. More specifically, you know the song Crazy Bitch. This song, it wasn't just a hit. It was kind of like a cultural event. It was played everywhere. Strip clubs, dive bars, even your dad's classic rock station. It became their biggest crossover hit to date. It went quadruple platinum, and it introduced Buckcherry to a whole new generation of fans.
And strippers.
Well, hey, she's on the pole. If she'd only studied just a little harder in class.
Daddy's disappointed.
But I'm making more money than your CEO. Anyways, well, and then there was the song Sorry. That was their first Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 hit. Sorry. Every band had to have a power ballad. You just can't get away with it. You just can't be balls out 10 out of 10 every song. So Sorry was a surprisingly heartfelt, Andy, heartfelt.
Heartfelt?
I'm not fucking around. This comes from the heart, Andy.
Oh, yeah. That's
Doesn't
very
come from the spleen.
Sweet sentiment.
I got a song from my femur for you, Andy. Well, no, a surprisingly heartfelt power ballad that proved that these guys were more than just a one-trick pony, I guess you got to have that. And so they could do sleaze with the best of them. And now they could do sentimental. So who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
So you guys all know this, and we could not get away from playing it, even if we wanted to, because everybody that's listening go, why didn't they play Crazy Bitch? So here it is. We're going to give you at least 2 minutes of this, so don't despair if you grow tired. It's only 2 minutes long, but here we go. Crazy Bitch, Buckcherry, changed the game for them. Turn it up.
Break me down, you got a lovely face. We're going to your place, and now you got to freak me out. but you fuck so good I'm on top of it when I dream. I'm doing you all night, scratches all down my back to keep me right on. Hey, you're crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it when I dream. I'm doing you all night, scratches all down my back to keep me right on. Take it all, the paper is your game. You jump in bed with fame. Another one not paid for. You're so fine, it won't be a loss. Cashing in the rocks, just to get you face to face. Hey, you're crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it when I dream. I'm doing you all night, scratches all down my back to keep me right on. Hey, you're crazy bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it when I dream. I'm doing you all night, scratches all down my back to keep me right on. Get the video, fuck you so good. Get the video, fuck you so good.
Now, speaking of crazy bitch, turns out there was some legal drama around the video. There was a 16-year-old girl that claimed she was coerced into appearing topless in the video.
They made me do it, lads.
I didn't want to do it. They coerced me.
I can't spell coerce, lads.
Both the band and the label were like, hold on a minute. She filled out a form, a release form full of false information, claiming she was over the age of 18.
I'm over 18.
But because of that, the video's removed. It was a whole messy thing. But honestly, what do you expect from Buckcherry? A video called Crazy Bitch. Do you expect it to be a G-rated family affair with like cartoon animals and shit? Come on. It's just that, adds to their mystique, right?
What would be funny, though, is if you superimpose that Lady in the Tramp cartoon of the two dogs with the spaghetti strand
right
with Crazy Bitch underlying it, it fits perfectly, too, right? I'm not saying the dog was a bitch. Maybe she was a high-class pedigree, but it would work.
You know how in those Disney cartoons, how like the two birds will bring like the ribbon and place it somewhere, like on a dress or something?
Oh, yeah.
They could have used that in the video to cover up the girl's tits.
Well,
would have made it legal.
Allegedly.
Buckcherry rides this new wave really hard. They're part of the successful Crew Fest tour that took place in 2008 that featured bands like, obviously, Motley Crue's named for them, and Papa Roach, and then Nikki Sixx's other project, 6 a.m. And then around this time, they dropped the fourth album, Black Butterfly, which actually did real well. It debuted at number 8 on the Billboard Top 200 in 2008, which kind of, made the band legit rock stars.
Everybody was hungry for rock.
Right? After all the other...
The climate then was hungry for rock.
Right, yeah, it definitely needed that infusion. Josh Todd even popped up on Escape the Fates album, This War Is Ours, proving he could lend his pipes to different sounds. And in 2009, Kiss has Buckcherry opening up shows for them on a U.S. and Canadian tour.
Okay, so you've got, we've opened for AC/DC, now we're opening for Kiss. Right. How much, does it get larger than that in the rock spectrum?
Legendary bands, and you're opening up for them, you're doing something right. So Buckcherry, they weren't just back, they were a legitimate force now in rock and roll. And then they go on to release Live and Loud 2009, which captures all that raw energy because, trust me, a Buckcherry show is an experience. It's loud, it's sweaty, and it's gloriously unpretentious.
Here's the thing about that. I was listening to that earlier today in preparation for the show, the Live and Loud 2009. First of all, it's recorded out of the States. It's from Canada. And apparently, Josh isn't too apparently happy with the crowd reaction. He even goes as far as announcing to the crowd, hey, we're recording a live album here, so we need you to act a little fucking crazy. And the crowd's like, And then several other times during that live show, at the end of the song, after they've played their ass off, it's like, and he goes, I can't fucking hear you, a couple of different times. So I just thought that was kind of not necessarily humorous, but
it is kind of funny that that's the recording they chose to use as a Live and Loud. Hey, listen to our show. These people really didn't care for it.
Live and not too loud.
Right. Quietly loud.
The politeness. Is this a Japanese crowd? Oh, back then,
Right.
Before Budokan, they were all, anyways. So what are we going to play?
So let's listen to some of the song Everything.
Now, we just talked about Live and Loud, and normally right here, any legitimate podcasters, we would play a track from that album, but it's our podcast. We're going to do what we want to do. So this song, Everything, we're putting it right here because this song has to be included.
Yeah.
This song, it has everything, as the title would suggest. It's got the hooks, it's got the chorus, it starts out slow, it transitions to hard and fast. There's a modulation. There's another podcaster friend that Andy and I listen to on a regular basis who hates it when a song modulates and goes up. We're not going to mention any names. You know who you are. But I love it when a song modulates. It's just we're cranking. Now I've got an extra gear and we're going to crank it even harder, Yeah. But everything that's good about Buckcherry is in this song, Everything. So please, people, pay attention to this. We're going to run this one a little bit longer. It deserves the credit. We always say turn this up, but at least give it a solid listen.
Yeah, this is a great song. It really highlights some of the other features of the band. It's not just the hard driving numbers. This is a great one that has some real nuance to it.
Again, this comes from that blockbuster release 15. And by the way, before we get off on a tangent here and before I forget about this, that album 15, after the non-success of their second album, Time Bomb, and they were dropped from their contract, nobody wanted to re-sign them again, and they kind of disappeared into a self-imposed hiatus for a while.
You're out of here, lads.
But they got back together, and they start writing again, and they are going to record this album, and nobody wants to sign them. Everybody says, your band is done. You're toast. So all the majors pass.
Get out of here, lads.
So there's a podcast that I'm a fan of. Dean Del Rey had Josh Todd on there. It's a great podcast, great interview. And Josh himself said nobody wanted to work with us. So we got this small deal out of the States in Japan, and we had a limited recording budget, and we did the entire album in 15 days. That's why the album is called 15. And apparently, since nobody wanted to sign them, their manager at the time, I believe Alan Kovacs, correct me if I'm wrong, but their manager at the time, he says, well, fuck it. I'll just start my own record label and you guys will be my first record. And so that's what they do. And so then they get a small publishing deal from Atlantic Records. And then Crazy Bitch starts to hit. And then before you know it, it explodes. And then everybody wants to get back into the Buckcherry business again. Everybody's a fan of Buckcherry again.
Welcome back, lads.
We've done all the hard work and we've scrapped and we've made it back to the top of the heap. And now you want to come in and do business with stuff. We've done all the hard work. You just want to come in and score. So that's how that whole 15 album came about. And that's what changed everything for the band.
It's kind of funny how this band, first song out of the gate is a cocaine-laced song. And then now their big comeback is about a crazy bitch. Like most bands couldn't get away with that. I'm not quite sure why Buckcherry did, but it worked real well for them.
Well, I don't know. Given the time, remember who you're writing this rock and roll for, basically young kids that are very impressionable. And if you add copious curse words into the mix and or sexual acts or referencing songs about sex, of course, the kids are going to eat it up and they love that shit.
Right.
Buried way beneath the sheets, I think she's having a meltdown, finding it hard to fall asleep. She won't let anyone help her. The look on her face, a waste of time. She won't let go, gonna roll the dice, losing her grace, starts to cry. I feel her pain when I look at her. Somewhere she is on the streets, trying to make things better, praying to God and breathing deep. Gotta break this long obsession. The look on her face, a waste of time. She won't let go, gonna roll the dice. Losing her grace, starts to cry. I feel her pain when I look at her. I wanna be, I want everything. I want everything. I wanna be, I want everything. I want everything. Yeah. If I had everything, would I still wanna be alive? I wanna be high. If I had everything, would I still wanna be alive? I wanna be high.
Son of a bitch, Andy. I go off on a tangent. Anyways, well, after they do that Live and Loud and they release that live album, you know, most bands would take a breather, you know, after a comeback like that, but not Buckcherry, you know. They're kind of like the definition of road dogs. They're always out on the road, and they basically live on tour. They probably spend more nights in different hotel rooms than they do in their own beds, and it's been that way. Josh mentioned in that Dean Del Rey podcast, they were hyping the new album at the time, which was Volume 10, that was coming out. And at that time, he said, we've been doing this for 24 years now. So, and that podcast was released in 23. It's 25 now. So, Andy, do some drummer math. That's how long they've been doing this on the road?
53 years.
There you go. I think like 26 years they've been doing that. So, and they release new albums every 2 or 3 years. Boom, new Buckcherry.
Yeah, they said that's their formula, is a new album every 2 years.
Yeah, it's a testament to their work ethic, I guess. Their Josh Todd is all about the business and whatever, you know, and their dedication to keeping that thing going, you know.
Right.
How many other bands have come and gone in their time period, and they're still there? So moving right along after that in 2010, well, that brings us the album All Night Long. That's another top 10 debut. People are starved for good rock and roll. The bassist, Jimmy Ashurst, well, he even gets featured in a book called Sex Tips from Rock Stars. I'm just going to leave that one hanging. Oh, bada bing, bada boom. They call that one low-hanging fruit, Andy. Oh, bada bing, bada boom. And I don't know, you know, despite debuting at number 10 on the Billboard Top 200, the album again failed to generate a major hit single. And soon after, as it is always, Buckcherry parted ways with Atlantic, and they signed to Century Media.
So a respectable performance, you know, debuts in the top 10, and not good enough, guys.
You know, top 10, we don't hear a single, lads. Where's the single then? Maybe not enough grit, lads.
Right.
I'm just saying.
You're gritless.
Wasn't that a song by Neil Young?
I think so.
Gritless, gritless. Anyway, in 2013, they dropped the album Confessions. And that is a concept album based loosely on the 7 Deadly Sins. Do you know the 7 Deadly Sins, Andy? Shouldn't that be in that movie 7 with Brad Pitt, whose
right.
wife's head's in a box?
Yeah. Now you've given away the ending, Gary.
Ah, son of a bitch. Spoiler alert. Lust, greed, envy, sloth, gluttony. That's 5 right there.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Pride.
That concept album is based on the 5 Deadly Sins because we can't remember the other 2.
Right.
Yeah, imagine Buckcherry doing a concept album, you know. They even made short films to go along with it, but who knew that these rockers had a philosophical side?
A sentimental and philosophical side.
Thespians, Andy, thespians.
In 2014, the band...
Lesbians. Thespians.
In 2014, the band drops the EP titled Fuck. And what can we say about this? Every single title has the word fuck in it.
Hard marking that at Walmart.
Yeah, and it's glorious. They go on to release the album Rock and Roll in 2015.
Still moving forward.
Yeah, and they even featured a country singer, Gretchen Wilson, who actually really good voice on that lady.
A lot of grit.
Tons of grit.
Maybe too much grit.
Yeah, and I guess she was featured on the song The Feeling Never Dies.
An ode to sandpaper.
So, yeah, Buckcherry meets country. Yeah, I guess that works.
Yeehaw!
But the road, as they say, takes its toll. In 2017, Keith Nelson and Xavier Muriel, who were really crucial to that 15 album comeback, well, they end up leaving the band.
We're leaving, lads.
So, the usual musical differences. But Eddie Trunk was talking to former bassist Jimmy Ashurst, and Jimmy hinted it was like over touring, like on the road too much.
Could you, you got to keep that thing going, you know, and look at all the albums that release. Isn't it album tour, you know?
And as you were saying earlier, it's like 20 some years on the road. That's a long time to be touring. But Nelson's departure leaves Josh Todd as the only original member of the band. He's the captain of that slightly unhinged pirate ship.
Yeah, well, he's doing most of the writing, all the singing or whatever, you know?
The heavy lifting. And, for many bands, this is going to be the final nail in the coffin, but not Buckcherry. They just keep going. Kevin
Ronskin?
Yeah, easy for you to say.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin.
He comes in on guitar. And, Sean Winchester comes in on the drums. But Josh Todd even launched a side project that was called Josh Todd and the Conflict, which also featured, guitarist Stevie D. They did that just to get rid of some pent-up energy, apparently. I mean, Josh Todd obviously is just a fucking workhorse.
Yeah, and plus he's a big fan of hip-hop and stuff, too, so that side project of his had a lot of those elements going in it. It's not anything like Buckcherry that you would expect, so he's, got a diverse set of skills.
At least it wasn't new metal.
Umlaut.
So that new lineup ends up...
What happened to the old metal, Andy?
Yeah, like I said, rusted away. The new lineup drops the album Warpaint in 2019. And this album actually includes a cover of Nine Inch Nails' song Head Like a Hole, which, like Gary was just saying, Todd has some different or some diverse influences. But to keep the changes, just keep on coming.
Lineup changes.
Yeah, nonstop. The revolving door. Winchester left, and then the guy we can't pronounce, Kevin. Roentgen. Roentgen. Yeah. And then this opens the door for Billy Rowe, who used to play for Jet Boy. He comes in on guitar. And then, Buckcherry's lineup changes. They're just fucking nonstop musical chairs. So,
well, again, giving Dean Del Rey credit for his podcast and that interview with Josh. Josh says at this point, with the rotating cast of characters that have come through the doors at Buckcherry, that it's not so much about your guitar playing or your guitar skills anymore. They knew of Billy Rowe from Jet Boy, and they knew that he could play guitar, and he's got a guitar business on his own, so he pretty much... But Josh says it's not about that. It's about we're always in cramped quarters, we're always on top of each other, and it's more about being able to live with a person and being on tour with a person. Can you get along with this person because you're going to be, cloistered with them for a long period of time? And Josh says usually the breaking point in Buckcherry is the 2-year mark. He goes, everything's fine, everything's cool up until about the 2-year mark, and that's when the cracks in the armor start to show, and that's when people start bitching about the length of the tours and complaining about this and complaining about that, and that's when their real self starts to come out.
The terrible twos.
So Stevie D, when they lost their guitar player because of whatever went down with them, Stevie D says, hey, I know this guy Billy Rowe. And Josh says, well, okay, I tell you what, let's just have a talk first. So they decide to go to breakfast together in Toluca Lake, and it turns out great. Turns out that Billy is a great guy. He's courteous. He's, everything that they want. He gets along. Josh vibes with him instantly. They have a great thing, and that's how Billy Rowe joins Buckcherry. And now, much to Josh's, says It's been over 2 years now, and Billy's been the consummate professional. He's a great guitar player. He's got his own side business. He never complains. He's always there, and they're really lucky to have him. So that's how he got into the band.
You know what else Josh said about touring is a lot of times you're stuck on the bus with not just your band, but also a lot of times the crew is with you. And he's like, some people don't like to bathe, some people don't like to brush their teeth, and you have to take all that kind of thing into account when you're hiring people.
I never toured on a tour bus, but isn't the cardinal rule that no going number 2, taking a shit on the tour bus?
Never take a shit on the tour bus.
Oh, man.
I guess that apparently everyone pays for it.
Along comes the pandemic then, Andy. The pandemic lockdown but hey, pandemic lockdown or no, even a global shutdown can't stop these guys. They go in and they record their album Hellbound, which was produced by Marty Fredrickson, who's worked with Aerosmith and he's worked with Def Leppard. And they say he's kind of like the 6th member of Aerosmith, according to Stevie D. And now he's hooked up with their new album. We'll get to that. But Marty Fredrickson has been a big supporter of the band and co-writer, I think, of the song Sorry with them. So they keep the output coming with a new album called Volume 10 in 2023. And they even, throw a side ball in there, a curveball, throwing in a surprisingly good cover of the Bryan Adams song Summer of 69. Making it sound like Brian's Summer of 69. It should have been a Buckcherry song all along. So they kind of put their Buckcherry spin on it, So that brings us to where we are today, boys and girls. Everybody listening out there, it's now June 2025. And right now, this very month, Buckcherry has just dropped their 11th studio album titled Roar Like Thunder. Their 11th studio album since 1999.
Wow.
Think about that, Andy.
That's a lot of records to put out, especially for a band that's been counted out a couple of times in their career.
I mean, if you're a career band, most bands are lucky to get 5, maybe, let alone past 10. And like I said earlier, a lot of the stuff that in today's day and age, if you didn't sell units, you were one and done. So imagine 11 studio albums.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. That really is.
Well, to drop this album, they originally teased the album with the title track, Roar Like Thunder, and the song Come On. And they're everything that you expect from Buckcherry. They're still hard-hitting, catchy, just more than a little bit dangerous, even today. And again, they recorded this album in Nashville, again with Marty Fredrickson, who clearly understands their particular brand of glorious racket. And so, hey, you know what? This is Buckcherry. This is 2025. They hit the streets in 1999. I know Josh is still the main guy, but give credit where credit's due. We're going to play this track, Roar Like Thunder, and we're going to play this one in full. Let it roll all the way through because it's deserving. So rather than say turn this up, you guys know the drill. Here it is. This is the new one from Buckcherry, just dropped June 2025, and this is Roar Like Thunder.
And this song is pure Buckcherry. This would fit in easily on those first couple of albums from the band.
It sounds like they haven't missed a beat, seriously.
Right. Yeah, it's like there's no steps missed whatsoever.
Here we go.
You want the money, you want the
So why is Buckcherry stuck around when so many other bands from that era fizzled out, or worse, tried to reinvent themselves into something that they're not? It's pretty simple, really. They never really chased trends, stayed true to their roots. You know, that classic swaggering, riff-driven rock and roll that makes you want to crank it up and not care what anybody else thinks.
Not unlike our friends in AC/DC, you know, they never swayed from the path. You know, It's consistent. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
you're not going to go Rolling Stones and go Miss You on me with AC/DC.
Not a chance.
So Buckcherry's kind of the same way. You know, they got the hooks, they've got the attitude, they got a front man in Josh Todd who truly lives the rock and roll lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I can't say enough about this guy. And here's the kicker, folks. You may or may not know this, but Todd has been sober for years. He's got 30 years of sobriety and cleanness, and he's in the program, and now he helps other guys in the program. And 30 years sober now. I would imagine, if I had one question to ask, is it hard knowing that your biggest hit is glorifying cocaine? And we touched on this earlier, you know, I wouldn't necessarily phrase it that way. Is that a trigger point for you to have to sing, I love the cocaine 30 years after you stop doing the cocaine?
Yeah.
I love the Rogaine. God, me some hair. God. All right.
How many people do you think came up to him over the years trying to give him cocaine because he loves that cocaine?
Look, I've got something for you.
So 30 years sober, been on the road for 26 of those years. That says a lot. That's a real testament to that guy.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level of rock and roll badassery right there. You know, he's clean, but still making dirty music, and a different, you know, and I give credit where credit's due. I don't remember the title of this, but he was doing another interview, and the interviewer asked him a point-up question that was kind of cool and said, after all this and after your, your lapse with or your drugs and all that, how do you maintain good mental health now, all these years later and stuff? And he said, man, that's a really good question that nobody ever asks me about. Not only has he been clean and sober for 30 years, but he's a big believer in meditation. And working out replaces drugs and alcohol for him. He says nothing makes him feel better than when he's got a full sweat worked up. And he says no matter what city he's in, the minute he gets off the bus, he looks for a place for meditation, and he runs to it. So that's how he keeps it together after being 30 years clean.
You know, the band, they're not pretty. They're not polished. That's exactly what we like about them. They're the band you put on when you want to feel a little bit dangerous, you know, a little bit rebellious, and a lot like you could conquer the world with a cheap-ass guitar and a bad attitude. Buckcherry is a reminder that sometimes the best rock and roll is just a little bit dirty, a little bit loud, and a whole lot of fun.
With a salt shaker of grit, Andy.
Yeah, let's add a little bit of grit to that.
Well, I could have put that in the closer here. You know, obviously this band was a breath of raw, unadulterated rock and roll in a landscape that was, come on, let's be honest, getting a little too mopey with grunge and a little bit too mechanical, industrial with nu metal, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely a shot in the arm that was needed.
Yeah, you know, definitely. Again, when I first heard the opening chords lit up, I sat up in my chair going, what in the hell is this, you know? Mm-hmm. And they kind of brought back the dangerous, swaggering rock, you know, a little punk, a lot of sleaze, and guess what? Zero apologies.
Yeah, fuck those apologies.
So I guess that's about it. We're going to give you some, you know, a little bit of random facts here now that, first of all, Josh Todd is one of the ultimate frontmen. In my opinion, one of the best frontmen in rock. He's got the whole package. He's got the look. He's got not an ounce of fat on him, and he's a dancing machine. And when asked about that, you know, I mean, if you ever watch the guy on stage, he's constantly moving and he's got the moves, you know, he's not up there doing spastic. Remember Axl Rose and that stupid snake dance or whatever?
Yeah.
Somebody said that he stole that from the lead singer of Shark Island or whatever. But people had that song Paris Calling back in, you know, one song, one and done, as they say, you know. But anyways, Josh Todd can dance his ass off, and when asked about it, he goes, well, you know, I have a sister that's a couple years older than I am, and when she'd be away, I had my own record collection, but she had hers too, and when she was away, way, I'd sneak into her room and check out her records, and she had stuff like Billy Idol, Prince, Apollonia, Eve Six, Yaz. And she would also really like to go dancing at the dance clubs in the Valley. So Josh got a fake ID at 17 and started tagging along with his sister and going to all these dance clubs and getting out on the floor and dancing. And he said that's where the whole thing started. He says, I'm a little skinny skateboarder punk rocker from California by day, and by night I'm hitting the Valley and doing dancing with my sister. So that's the whole how that got started. And he's just a most excellent front man all the way around.
Yeah, he's the type you really like to see. Nonstop energy, just keeps the show going.
Yeah, he's always moving. Plus, he also mentioned that he was really into funk music too. So you've got those moves if you're into funk.
Right.
He also has some ties to the state of Oklahoma. Apparently, he spent a lot of time on his grandparents' farm. His grandparents owned a farm, and so he's a big fan of the Oklahoma Sooners football team, and he's been seen in multiple photos wearing a Sooners jersey. And he said, yeah, he used to work on his grandparents' farm, and that's where he learned how to drive John Deere tractors. And let's see, a couple other things. Also, in addition to the whole package of him being a front man who's constantly dancing and nonstop, and he's got the vocal range and the attitude and the danger and with the tattoos and the whole 9 yards, but he also can scream with the best of them.
Yeah.
Andy and I have touched on this before a little bit in the Faster Pussycat episode. Tammy Down has equally decent screams as Axl Rose does in Guns N' Roses, but Josh Todd is right up there too, man. The guy's got a scream. I'll bet you if you tried hard enough and you put him next to an automobile door, his vocals could scrape paint off of that door. It's sandpapery, and that's another thing that I really like about him too. And he said he taught himself, he's self-taught, and he said he taught himself all the wrong things and all the bad habits. And he said after that first album tour, he continually kept blowing his voice out on the tour. And he said he realized that he needed help. So he got himself a vocal coach, and it started from there. And he progressed. And now I guess he's still using a vocal coach, and I believe the guy's name is Baxter. Anyways, yeah, so he does this whole thing where he's still got the pipes, and before every show, he does all these scales in a warm-up, and after the show, he does like an 8 to 10 minute scale warm down. And so he said that he hates the sound. He can't listen to the first self-titled album because he was an inexperienced vocalist, and it just bugs the shit out of him how unpolished he was. So I thought that was kind of funny. He won't listen to that.
Yeah, he's also older now, so he's got to maintain that voice, because if you want to keep your career going, you don't want to Vince Neil it all the way, till you're a joke.
Well, apparently he says that he does this whole warm-up routine because you have to go from a speaking voice into a performing and a singing voice. And then after the show, he does a whole nother series of warm-down different scales that brings his singing, performing voice back down to a regular speaking voice. And he says you don't really notice the big difference until the next morning when you wake up, and you can entirely feel it. And so he says he does it religiously now, so.
Dedication.
Okay, so there's a few random facts for you. Now, before we close this out, let's have a little bit of a discography. If you're not aware, kids, and Andy, Andy, do you realize that Buckcherry has 11 studio albums?
I do, because we just discussed that part.
There's that drummer math. One live album. They have 33 singles. They have 38 music videos.
Damn.
Their first album, Buckcherry, was released on April 6th, 1999. The second album, Time Bomb, was released in 2001. Then the band kind of breaks up. Then they get back together. They release the album 15 in 2005. They release Black Butterfly in 2008. They release All Night Long in 2010, Confessions in 2013, Rock and Roll in 2015, War Paint in 2019. Are we sensing a trend here, kids? The album Hellbound came along in 2021. Volume 10 albums, kids, came along in 2023. And the new one, which just dropped in June, a couple weeks ago on the 13th, Roar Like Thunder, drops in 2025. Now, they kicked out that live album in 2009, and somewhere out there, there's a Best of Buckcherry compilation floating around that got released somewhere in 2013. So that's a rundown of their discography.
I feel like they should record a new live album since the crowd was so unenthusiastic on the previous one.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Maybe it's time for an update.
I can't fucking hear you. And they managed to land songs on 4 different movie soundtracks. They're on the movie soundtrack Road Trip. It was released in the year 2000, and the song was Anything. I'll Give You Anything. Is that a Dramarama cover? Remember that song?
Yeah, it
I'll
could
Give
be.
You Anything, Anything? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then also in the year 2000, on the Mission Impossible 2 movie, they released the song Alone on the soundtrack. The Bangers Sisters, which I believe had Susan Sarandon and Goldie Hawn, came along in 2002, and they had the song Crushed on that soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, in the Marvel movie Avengers Assemble in 2012, they had a song titled Wherever I Go on the movie soundtrack. So there you go, kids. Quite the history, and they're still doing it all these years later, and they're still relevant, and they're still releasing good stuff that isn't rehashed and still out there on the scene.
No, a brand new album, like literally just dropped a brand new album that, like we said earlier, doesn't miss a beat. I mean, it's just like, if you like this band, you're going to love this album.
Well, again, we'll see if they are going to go out on the road, and if they do, if they'll swing by. And if they do, Andy and I will go to the show and give you a review of that show. So thanks a lot for hanging out as long as you have here for this episode. We appreciate that. Andy, what do you got to say?
Thanks, everybody. We always appreciate you hanging out with us. And remember, keep it trashy.
Keep it trashy, folks. And again, spread the word. Follow us if you can. Put a good word in for us. If you want a bumper sticker or whatever, send us a message with your address. We'll ship one out to you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And we're going to close out with a little bit of the song So Far.
Yeah, we're going to let this one run in its entirety. You guys can choose to listen to it or wander off, but this is great. This is So Far.
Yeah, and enjoy this one. And as always, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
See you next time, kids.
Yeah.
We're out, lads.
I'll tell you how the sun is gone. Come on. I'll tell you how the sun is gone. I always wanted so much more. And way on down the road, I got a glimpse of the sunlight. Working on my favorite thing, using every piece of me, drinking and smoking and fucking and making nothing. I didn't do it for money, I did it all for free. I did it all to fill the fucking hole inside of me. And so far it's working out, everything's different now. So far, na. Think about what you know, forget about what you're told. See how your story grows and let it come from your own mind. Do all your favorite things, cover it with all your dreams. Breathing, smoking, fucking, making something. I didn't do it for money, I did it all for free. I did it all to fill the fucking hole inside of me. And so far it's working out, everything's different now. So far, na. So far the mean machine hasn't got the best of me. So far, na.
And to our fallen comrade, Mr. Mink, I think Pink Floyd said it best. Wish you were here. You're here in spirit, brother.
Godspeed, Mink, wherever you may be.
You've been listening to the Rock and Roll Gutter Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the dirty world of rock and roll. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners like you.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rock and Roll Gutter Podcast for all the latest updates, news, and more.
Got questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes? Reach out to us at rnrguttermail@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
So join us again next time for another wild ride through the raw and gritty side of rock and roll. So until then, keep it trashy.